We'll do it live.
Okay. Well, no.
We'll do it live. F- it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nintendo Talk Live. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, joined by the biggest Nintendo hater in all the land, Mr. Kevin Austin.
Biggest Nintendo hater. What?
I'm just teasing. No, because you know
I hate everything.
You know what? There was a time I really did. I thought you hated Nintendo, and I was like,
No.
I'm like, this guy really, dude. He's like always attacking Nintendo. He hates Nintendo. He's like, he's my enemy. It is what it is. And then I was talking to Fluxy, and Fluxy's like, no, man, Kevin loves Nintendo. I'm like, you sure, man? He's like, no, I'm telling you, he does. I'm like, okay. Then I started paying attention to your tweets. I'm like, yeah, he does. Okay, I got this.
It runs deep. It runs deep. We'll get into that.
Exactly. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Coming from a little family event, so had to bounce out and said, hey guys, I know it's a family event. I know I just met, my new niece, but Bobby's asking for me, so I gotta leave. So
get out of here! You did not leave
out.
A family event for me. That's nuts.
I did.
That's a mistake.
I threw the dinner plate on the floor and everything. It was a scene.
That's a mistake. You should go back. You should just leave now and go back. You're fine. So this is actually the first time you and I have ever spoken face to face.
That is correct.
We've chatted via Twitter occasionally, like, taking little shots at each other when we can, and I've always talked to Donnie. That was it. And then I think I talked to Caro once when I was on the Shack, and then Flux I always talk to, obviously, and then
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's all mine. It's this guy. he's a train wreck, man. But I never. So I was excited to finally be like, you know what. And it was weird because it just kind of came out of nowhere. I was like, you know what, man, so what I did was, since I came back, I had like a list of people that I wanted to get on this show. And you were on the list.
And you ran out of everybody else good. And you got to me, so I get it.
See, here you go, the self-loathing BS. Stop it. So, no, I had you, right? And then what happened was, when Sean Capri did his final We the Gamer cast goodbye, he mentioned how he regretted not being able to have you on. I was like, I'm gonna get Kevin Austin now, so I can kind of rub it in Sean's face, so it could be a thing. So listen, why don't we just jump in? We're gonna kick this thing off. Oh, before we do that, because there might be like a couple people here that don't know who you are. Let people know who you are, what you do, all that good stuff, please.
All right, so I'm Kevin Austin. I am the co-founder, I guess you could say, of the PSVG podcast network. So if you all know, love or hate Donnie, I'm his cohort that handles kind of a lot of the behind-the-scenes operations, and of course I host the regular PSVG show as well as Arcadia Academia. But yeah.
So you guys really you guys did some good stuff. You still do good stuff, but like what I mean by that is, so when I was gone and I was determining what I was going to do when I came back, you guys had joined Make Us Better, and I was like, holy crap, dude! I was like, they don't need me coming in there and like rough-shotting it and messing things up and like trying to reclaim my throne and all. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna stay away. But it was I part of me regrets that. I'm gonna be honest with you. Part of me does regret that, because I think that, I'll be honest, and you call it ego, call it what you want. I believe that if I was still there, and Mub would still be alive. Because I think I would have told Joseph Moran to shut his mouth more than once, and I would. He's in the chat. I'm sorry I say that.
I see in the
chat. No, but I feel like I just had a different vision though when I returned, and that was more or less. But I do. Part of me regrets it, because part of me thinks like, man, the stuff that all of us could have created.
Oh yeah, together, the forces of nature there. Yeah.
Ooh, I mean, dude, you had, and you guys were like really, and you still are. I'm not trying to take anything from what you're doing. But it was like you guys were really starting to click, and things were like, dude, Joseph was clicking as well. And it was just like, man, this whole conglomerate coming together. And Sean, obviously, Sean, dude, he just, whatever he does, the people love him. I don't know why, but they love him.
It's true.
But I was like, all these forces coming together, man, holy crap, dude. Marvel would have been like suing us for copyright infringement on the Avengers.
Greatest crossover ever.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but with that, let's jump into the 3 most difficult questions in the world. That I'm going to throw at you. At least I prepped you. There's times I don't even tell people what these questions are.
Yeah.
And they're just like, and I'll get to that point and they're like, no. And I'm like, it's easy. Trust me. You can answer these questions. So, Kevin, what was the first Nintendo console that you ever owned?
So the first one I had is pretty much the same story as yours as well. Was the original NES. I had the Duck Hunt Mario combo.
Nice.
I got it for Christmas, and I don't remember what year it was. It's probably the first year it was out. But it was so good.
So you were spoiled. Okay, I got you.
Oh yeah. Well, it's weird because my upbringing, I wasn't spoiled very often. But like I don't know what it was that caused my parents to get it. I didn't even know what it was at the time. So I wasn't that kid. I got the NES. My 2 older uncles also got them too. They were both in their 20s. I mean, I was 7 or 8 maybe when this happened. So, I was young, and we played. And I remember playing like Double Dribble, Blades of Steel, and just schooling them, and them getting so mad because they were much older and not being able to hang with it. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, that began like a lifelong passion of gaming from that point. So my parents knew like whatever caused them to buy that, they had it easy from then they're out because they just knew I just wanted video games. Didn't matter. Like, for the rest of my life, Christmas, birthday, Easter, whatever, just give me video games. I'm good. Just keep coming.
I wish my mom was as wise as you. Yeah, you would think after all these years, but I think she thinks like, or I don't think she thinks. I think she hopes Bobby's grown up. What I mean? No. Like, he's not going to want video games this year. And I'm like, no, Mom, just keep giving me video games. I don't like. Now it's not even like, it's just like, well, I don't know what the game. I'm like, just get me eShop cards. And she don't know what the hell they are. And I'm like, Mom, just stop. Just go to the store, go to GameStop, and tell them you want eShop cards. They will gladly give you what you want. And so she just yells at me. This year she bought me a vacuum cleaner, and I'm like, oh, really, Mom? Come on. No,
what am I supposed to do with this thing?
No. This is the greatest thing ever. It's one of those like Rumbas, but it's actually.
Oh yeah, I got one,
dude. Yep. Life changing, man.
Oh yeah, they're great.
Last weekend I turned this thing on and it ran for 2 hours, right?
Yep.
But the first time it's checking, it's reading the room,
measuring the room.
It's measuring the rooms and figuring out where it is, and I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever, and I'm like. And amazing, like it really did a great. I didn't think they did that good a job. I'm like, come on, how can it? And no, this thing's legit. Like it has a remote control with it, so if it misses something, I point the remote at it and push the button, and it'll come off the home again. I'm like, this is the greatest gift ever, man.
I chase my cats with mine, so if they're annoying me, I just send it after them, and I just control it to chase after the cats.
That's
it's a good time.
Funny. That's funny. Yeah, because cats are real weird like that. They don't. They get like real skittish.
Anything vacuum. Yep.
So, second question. What is the first Nintendo console that you ever bought with your own money?
So the first one I bought with my own money would have been the N64. So at that time, I went through an NES, SNES, had my Game Boy, all that kind of stuff there. Those were always gifts, or maybe I had assisted in purchasing, but I never paid up front for the whole thing until N64 kind of came along, and that was the one that I was... Unfortunately, I made the mistake of kind of trading in my game collection to help fund the next one, and... like N64 games don't hold up over time like some of these other ones do. Not even close.
No.
But that was the first one I was able to say like, hey, this one's mine, I bought the whole thing. But it was the N64.
Be careful, because if you talked about that in front of Jacob Rush, he'll want to fight you. Like
I know
he's misled in life, and he really truly believes that the N64 is still and I'm like, dude, them graphics are horrible. Stop it.
Yeah, they were groundbreaking games. They set the industry hands down, but they did not age. Like they you can't go back and play Mario 64 in that format. Like you just play the DS one, even that's better, and that's not great either. But Ocarina of Time, forget it. You're never gonna play it on N64 ever again. No. Forget that.
Thank God they fixed it on the 3DS, because I never would have gone back on it. And When they put Mario 64 on the Wii U, I bought it day one because I hadn't played it in so many years. I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait to play this. And I played the first level. I'm like, how the hell did I play this game? This game is so bad. I mean, minus how bad the graphics look. Like, the camera is trash.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and it's not like, and maybe, and part of me is weird enough to think that, like, well, maybe if I had a GameCube controller or an N64 controller, it would work. Because those C buttons were actually camera buttons.
Right.
But, like, using a typical Pro controller? No way, man. Because you immediately keep grabbing the stick to try to adjust the camera. And it's like, it's not working.
That's true. That's true. I didn't even think of that, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, this is not working for me. I can't. It's like, just, it blew my mind. It just messed me up. But
yeah, between those and the jumping mechanics, too, the jumping physics, like, I can't imagine going back to jumping in the 64 environment versus doing like you do in Odyssey or anything like that. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, it's totally different. You know, the crazy thing is, too, is I'm sitting here and listening to you, and I'm like, oh my god, me and Kevin are like twins over here. Like,
so also, just a side note, I didn't say it on Twitter because I thought it would be fun to bring it up in case you were wearing it. I'm a Yankees fan.
Oh my god! All right, listen, we're gonna go now. Kevin and I are gonna go on a date now, so you guys can. Donnie, I'm moving into PSVG. You're out. I'm gonna take over Nintendo Shack. You're out. See you later, dude. So. This is now. Here's the one that can make or break. We'll see.
This is gonna break you.
This is gonna. I can feel it. I can feel it because you know already. What's your favorite Nintendo console?
Okay, now you have to go with me on this.
Okay.
You're not gonna like the answer immediately, but I'm gonna explain why.
I'm not happy already.
The Nintendo GameCube.
Really? Why?
And it's because, so traditionally, and part of the reason I'm a Nintendo fan and still am even after all these years, is I like unique gaming experiences, stuff you cannot get anywhere else, find anywhere else. And the GameCube gave birth to Animal Crossing, Luigi's Mansion, Super Monkey Ball, Chibi Robo, all these types of games that have not been recreated in the same manner since that era. And those are games that I still love and like to go back to. Like my favorite memories are of these types of games. The Mario parties during that era, I enjoyed much more than the ones previous or after for the most part. There's just that generation of gaming gave birth to these unique experiences. Perfect Dark. These games you just never had up until then and never had again since then in the same way. So for me, that one's my favorite simply because of the gaming experiences. Not the best hardware, not the best controller. I'm not that guy. It's just the games I were able to play on there were my favorite games of all time. You know,
so I bought this thing, right? Or actually, I got this for Christmas. And I'm not a fan of this controller no more.
No.
Like, I'm watching, I'm like, why are people flipping out that this is the greatest thing ever? Like, this thing is... Now, maybe it's great for Smash, and I don't know. Maybe if you played Melee a lot, it would make sense. You know the button schematics. If you're one of those people that still play Melee today, like, I get it. But, like, for me, no way. It's garbage, man. It's absolute garbage. It just feels like these arms here... feel real weird. They feel too skinny, you know. It doesn't feel right. I do like this controller. I'm not gonna I feel like PowerA did a great job with the controller.
Yeah,
and the you know, the clicking and all that with the
the mimicking of what it was. Yeah,
but man, it's just it's hard to get used to. I'm not a fan.
Oh yeah,
when you said you said GameCube, I'm like, oh god, Kevin.
I know.
Right. But you know what though? You started off with Animal Crossing, and you brought me back in. So that was the thing. So a lot of people will say like the Switch is their favorite console, and I typically don't let that answer ride because I feel like it's too new to really say that. But do you feel that the Switch could potentially become like this juggernaut that we look at and we go like, man, Nintendo really knocked it out the park here?
So Nintendo is in the position to do so. And the reason I'm kind of with you, Signing, I don't let people really say like, oh, this is the best Nintendo console of all time, is because up until now, and even from what we're seeing that's coming down the pipeline, has been announced, everything we're seeing is something that's already been done.
Yeah.
They're not breaking any ground with these new innovative games. Like, it's more of the same. They're clinging onto that nostalgia, which I still love, but that's what's looping these people to come back to Nintendo after all these years. They're like, oh wait, I can go back and play this game that was just like, you know, Mario 64. Great. This is the best Zelda since Ocarina of Time. Great. Let me jump in and play this. Like, they're grabbing people back because of that. The hardware is not where it needs to be. I love being able to play these games portable. Like, I never thought I'd play like Breath of the Wild in my hands. Like, that's amazing. But battery life is not so great. I'd love for it to run a little bit better. It seems like any graphic intensive game gets those fans blowing pretty loud. Things like that kind of takes away from me. So I don't think in the upper echelon, and once the history books have closed on Nintendo, in its current stance, that Switch will be the greatest console they've ever had. Sales wise, it might be, but I think as far as for me, innovation, bringing new experiences, I haven't seen it yet. We're getting them ready for year 3, but everything we know is more Fire Emblem, Yoshi's Crafted World, which is like Yoshi's Woolly World, I love that game, so I'm happy with it, but it's not new. So yeah, I think they're just kind of fine tuning what they've done so well over the years, and just getting people's attention again was the biggest hurdle they had to cross to get there.
So where do you stand with the idea of ports and Nintendo porting a lot of stuff from the Wii U? I'm assuming you had a Wii U.
Oh, of course, yep. I had a Wii U. And I've had all these games that they've reported too.
Yeah. So, but what's your take on it? Like, are you like, no, they can't do this, or are you just like, no, this is awesome?
At first, I was really upset about it. I'm on the record in PSVG for saying that, because I was like, oh, when they first announced that year 1, like everything was a port except for these couple of games, and even Splatoon 2. I bought it. I love Splatoon, but in my head, I'm like, this is just, it's not really a 2. It's a port, and they added a couple things. So I was really let down at first. However, I completely understand from a business sense, it makes perfect sense. You already have more people that own a Switch that ever owned a Wii U. And some of these games, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, like these games are fantastic games that people didn't get to experience. Why would you then let that go? You should fine tune it, put it in a console, people can play it. And I double dipped on a few of these titles, and I'm not ashamed. Hyrule Warriors, I freaking love it on the Switch. It's way better than playing it on the Wii U.
I'm with you.
So it's good on them, and they're releasing quality games. I haven't really saw one that they've released where I'm like, why are they bringing this back? This doesn't make any sense. Until they do that, I'm on board for it for now. And I think they're pacing with the new titles, the new games is okay. Because we're not being left with those Wii U droughts where we went, 8, 10, 12 months without any game. They're making sure it's not happening. And if this is their way of making sure that doesn't happen, I'm okay with it so far.
Well, and the thing, too, is like you look at the numbers that they're moving on these ports, and it's mind-numbing. Like, dude, they're saying right now, like, new Super Mario Bros. Wii U Deluxe is like, it's sold more already than it did on the Wii U.
Insane.
Like,
Insane.
that's nuts. Like and the thing is like when people are like, well, of course it did. Okay. So you're looking at it and you're going like, in theory, right? The Wii U sold 14 million units. So you have what, 18, 20 million units right now. So it's only like 6 million more people own than before. But it blows my mind that like, it's not just like, it sold more. It sold a lot more. Like, it's like the numbers are through the roof on these sales. And the crazy thing is it's only physical numbers we're hearing. We're not hearing the digital numbers. So it's like, I think it eclipsed the million mark, if I'm not mistaken, already. In Japan, it's like I think they said it was like 60-something% higher sales in terms of like what it did than when it launched on the Wii U, and that's like that's nuts, because in Japan, Nintendo is God in Japan. And like, even though it struggled here, it sold relatively well in Japan. The Wii U is what I mean by that. And when you look at what the Switch is doing, like, it's still selling like a juggernaut over Japan. And it's still selling great here. I mean, it's not like it's not selling everywhere. They're talking about I just talked about it this week. They're talking about there's a potential that they sold 10 million Switches from October to December. Like, if that number's true, that is ungodly to think that they sold 10 million in that little bit of time. But that's what analysts are looking at it, and they're saying, like, they believe, looking at the numbers that they're pulling, that's what it did. And if that's the case, they're basically going to clip that 20 million that they said that they wanted to do in year 1. And it also, and when I look at it, I go, was Yoshi getting put in at March? Is that a tale that they did basically do the 10 million? Because I thought, my opinion was,
that's a good point.
You put Animal Crossing in at March because you want that final push before the end of the fiscal year, because that's going to move consoles. Animal Crossing is going to move consoles. Because I assure you, there's a lot of people that love Animal Crossing that still don't have a Switch.
Yep.
And that game has this rabid fan base that if you give them a true Animal Crossing game, not Amiibo Festival, they will buy consoles. And it always made me wonder, like, why didn't they put it on the Wii U? Like, why it was ready? I thought it was ready, and
I thought it was ready too. Well, we're waiting on Pikmin 4 too, which supposedly has been ready for what 3-4 years.
Could you imagine, dude?
Where's that one?
Oh, I want that one so bad.
We have a story. There's a big story with that. So I traded in my Wii U to help fund the Switch, and my wife is a rabid Pikmin fan, like insane, dude. She's 10 times better than me. She's beaten them all, 1, 2, 3, the whole 9,
wow.
And she's beaten them multiple times. And we would constantly play Pikmin 3 and do like the bingo battles and like the 2-player modes. We do that all the time. And I kept telling her, I was like, no, Miyamoto said years ago Pikmin 4 was ready to go. I was like, we can trade this in, we'll get the Switch, and we'll get Pikmin within the first year.
Oh,
year 3, we're getting ready for year 3 now, and she reminds me at least once a month that she still does not have Pikmin. And I'm like this close, dude, to trying to find a Wii U secondhand just to get it again.
Dude,
because
they're so expensive right now.
I know, they're so expensive. They're so expensive.
She's telling me. I didn't sell mine. Because the problem was I had so many digital games.
Yeah.
And I have like 190 digital games on the Wii U. And that's everything. That's virtual console, that's third party, that's everything. But I have an external hard drive, a 2 terabyte external hard drive, just jam packed with Nintendo stuff. And I'm like, I'm so tempted to just pop it out here and hook it up and start playing it again. Because, dude, there's some great. That's the thing. Like, to me, there's still some great games that they haven't even tapped into.
Oh yeah.
I also want to jump into the virtual console a little bit. What's your take with what Nintendo's doing with Nintendo Online?
So, yeah, Nintendo Online's kind of been a bummer for me. I keep getting excited when they announce each month, like, hey, they're bringing this game and that game back. And I'm like, oh, cool, I'll try it out. And almost every single time, I'm like, man, I hate this game. This game is not good. It has not aged well. There's been very few that it's like, oh, I can go back and play this again. I mean, we did the whole Tecmo Bowl thing. You were around for that stuff. So, like, we saw that. Super Dodgeball, I actually enjoy that game, so that one's okay. But, like, a lot of these ones, I'm like, I'm not going back and playing them. So, I'm not angry, though. So, here's the thing. So, Nintendo Online is so cheap that... It doesn't. I can't get mad about it. We got the rumors coming down the pipeline that SNES has been data mined, and that's coming too. If that comes, that'll definitely help the situation for sure. Yeah. So I can't really say I'm mad. Am I disappointed? Yeah, a little bit. I'd like to be able to pick which games I want to pay for again. I guess, even though I'd be mad if I had to buy my games again for like the third or fourth time in some of these cases. But being able to customize that experience for me, I think would be better off in the long run. But yeah, it's been a bit of a letdown there. I mean, I'm glad they're putting the games out. It's an added feature as far as I'm looking at it. Yeah. I'm not looking at it as like, hey, this is Nintendo's virtual console. I still think there's going to be some way where they're going to capitalize on it and say, hey, if you want to buy these certain games, like these ones will never hit virtual console, so you need to buy it instead. Yeah. Maybe we get some of those licensed games that way because the licensed games won't give it up for Nintendo Online. Maybe they'll sell them again, or we'll get third-party ones come through that we can purchase, Sega games or anything like that. Hopefully that comes on the pipeline. But if SNES comes, I'll be a lot happier because those games aged a lot better in most cases.
So I do this little podcast called If We Ran Nintendo. And,
haven't heard of it.
Not many people have. I think it's failing, but I think a lot of it's my co-host. I gotta get a new co-host. maybe. But my question is, if Kevin Austin ran Nintendo, when would you launch the SNES games? What would be the ideal time to make that announcement and put them out?
So, based on the current timeline for what we're looking at, I see the chat too.
I didn't see it at first. You know what? I'm sorry, Sean. I forgot. I thought Jason Lacey was still in the group, so we changed it. We changed it. Jason's going, so it's good. We're all good again, Sean.
Yeah, he meant the other co-host.
I meant the other co-host. I totally forgot. I'm old. I forgot things. You're fine, Sean. Just relax.
He always pops up just when you say his name.
Just when I say his name, he always shows up. I
know. So SNES, I think based on current Nintendo's timeline for what we see for games that are already announced, I think if they were to do it, it's got to be in that summer window. Unless they have a title coming out this summer they haven't announced. If that's when Animal Crossing is coming. But I think they should use that opportunity for a lull in their release schedule and pop it in there. Don't try and take anything away from Yoshi because Yoshi will do well, but we know it's not a AAA game. It's in that lower tier. Unfortunately, like the Kirby games, stuff like that. Those games will sell, but they're never on that same level. So don't release something like that during that time frame because you'll snipe some sales that way. Maybe for people who are hard up for something to play. But I say do it in summer or early fall before you start bringing out the blockbusters, get people excited, and sell more consoles in gearing up for the next holiday season when they're going to drop undoubtedly something big for us during next holiday.
I think I just want because I have these. I got the NES Joy-Cons. I want the Super Nintendo one so bad. I love that. I love that controller, man. I'm like, oh, please happen. And I want the purple ones. I do want the purple ones. Because that's you know what I mean? Like, I never got this whole thing where people were just like, oh, that's the ugly version. I'm like, dude, I love that version. Like, I love that version. I mean, when you grew up and that's all you knew. But these like revisionist history people that are just like, dude, you didn't even know that the other countries had color buttons. Like,
yes.
There was no such thing as internet back then. You had no idea. You weren't lacking anything. Like, stop the madness with this nonsense.
Bunch of hipsters.
I know. It's just nonsense. I can't take it no more. But the crazy thing is, like, so they have these, and I am trying to acquire the Famicom ones, just because they look cool, and they're red and black, and I mean, obviously, you look at my microphone.
Yeah, you got the decor. It goes with
it goes with what I'm doing around here. But I saw them up for sale for like $160, and I'm like, man, do I pull the trigger on that? And I'm like, part of me's like, yes, do it. Because and the other part of me is like, don't be an idiot. Like, what are you doing? But then I look at all the other stuff I waste money on. Like, just look around. You know what I mean? Like why not? Why not throw one more?
It's just gonna be something else you never use though. That's the only downside. You're gonna get them. You're gonna put them on your shelf, and it's gonna look cool, but you're never gonna use it. So is it worth $160 to not use something? Look at it that way.
You totally talked me into it. I'm buying it, Kevin.
There you go.
That's all it took. That's all it took. I mean, I got this, which I do love this. I mean, I bought the from Colorware, and I had it done. I remember when I first announced that I was going to do this is like a year ago. I first announced I was going to do one, and Jason Lacey was like hitting me up, and he's like, "What are you going to do? What are you?" And I'm showing him like the mock-ups. And this was the final one that I went with. And I showed it to him. He's like, oh, my God, dude, that's gorgeous. He's like, I can't justify the money, though. And I'm like, well, I can't really either. But, I'm just like.
But I'm going to do it anyway.
I'm going to do it anyway. And then 6 months later, I'm getting divorced. So it's, so paid off. It worked out,
Not saying one is connected to the other.
No,
but,
not at all. Nothing's connected. It's just random stuff. You know what I mean? I had a Japanese pen pal, I know. So the thing is like, I contacted a couple people that I knew lived in Japan. American people that lived in Japan. And I was like, do you have a Japanese account or an American one? They're like, no, I got a Japanese, or I have an American one. I'm like, why don't you buy? But now I'm half tempted to go like, look, I will buy you Nintendo Online for Japan. I will pay you the money to buy them and then ship them to me. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, well, really, wouldn't I be spending close to the same? Well, no, not really. I'd probably be spending about $100.
Yeah.
So I'd save $60 doing it that way. I might do that. I have to do that. We'll see. It is Jason. It's absolutely Jason Lacey's fault. Well, I got divorced. That's what we're gonna stick to that. Lacey pushed me down the steps. What do you listen? We got to throw shade at Jason as much as possible. He's going to be streaming in a little bit, so we got to just basically.
That's true.
We got to wreck his streams. What's up, Ted? How you doing? My question for you is this: what's your most anticipated game from Nintendo this year?
That's been announced?
Well, yeah, for this year.
Okay.
I don't want nonsense that's coming in like. Don't be telling me that Metroid Prime nonsense is not coming for like 3 years.
No, I'm hoping for Animal Crossing this year. That's my most anticipated one. If I'm pulling from a hat, that's what I'm saying. But they haven't said. So
yes, they did.
Did they say officially?
It said 2019 at the end of that trailer. Now listen, if you're an Animal Crossing fan, which I know you are,
yeah,
that don't mean crap.
Exactly, because we all know it gets lost in translation hell all the time. Where it's like, okay, we wrote all this dialogue, there's all these items, now we need to translate it for American audiences.
Yeah.
So unless they're super far along on it, which who knows, they might be.
They should be. If they're not, there's something
I would think so. So yeah, it would either be Animal Crossing or Luigi's Mansion 3, because I just love Luigi's Mansion. Those games, and the first one for me is my favorite. Like Dark Moon was okay, but the first one I enjoyed a heck of a lot more. But yeah, if I had to pick one, Animal Crossing for me, hands down, because I will lose so much life in that game. The 3DS one was so good. But my problem is, for some reason, I just wasn't crazy about playing it on the small screen all the time. But if I go back to GameCube, I played so much of that one. Like every day I'd hop in and just do, okay, I'm going to do, an hour a day in Animal Crossing, but I did it every single day for years, man.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that type of experience because I wasn't crazy about City Folk on the Wii. I didn't like that one that much in the motion controls and whatnot. So I just want a traditional classic Animal Crossing game. I mean, realistically, they could just port over New Leaf and I would have been happy. But I obviously, it's not the case with what this is going to be.
Okay, stop talking. We're going to bring you on Breaking Bells. You made your point. You want to come on Breaking Bells? I got you. We'll do that. we'll get you on an episode of that. We'll work on that. Well, after the show, we'll square it. Because I'm sitting here going like, this is wasted content. He's talking about something I could use.
Sorry. I mean, Luigi's Mansion 3 is my most anticipated title.
Here's the thing. With Luigi's Mansion 3, though, they are saying that one is similar to the first, meaning one mansion, not like two that had like multiple mansions. Although I liked 2 a lot. I really
I didn't have any problem with it. Yeah.
To be honest with you, like the first one, man, I really feel like a lot of my issues with the GameCube it was just the timing for me. Mm-hmm. I feel like I was at that point in my life where it was like, it's time to grow up, time to be an adult. These video games are for kids. Give them up. Move on. So I really didn't play games the way I should have played games. And I regret that because there's games that like came out on the GameCube that like I just don't have any passion for. I don't have any desire to play Double Dash. I don't have any desire to play Luigi's Mansion, Sunshine. All those games just didn't grab me the way that previous versions had, and I don't know why that is. I just don't get it. The only mainstay, there was 2 mainstays that like grab me and still I gravitate to, and that's Animal Crossing and that's Wind Waker. They're the only 2 that it was just like, hey man, that would be awesome. With how did Breath of the Wild affect you in terms of like, was that a great game for you or?
Yeah, it was a great game, but the story for me is funny. Is Donnie actually ruined it a little bit for me?
Imagine that. Man, we got horrible. Listen, why don't we do this? I'll get rid of Sean. You get rid of Donnie. We go start our own thing. You know what I mean? We don't have to worry about this. Sean ruins everything for me. He still hasn't beat Breath of the Wild. Drives me bonkers.
Oh my god, Sean, what are you doing with your life?
Exactly.
You act like you just had another kid or
I know,
something.
he's actually got kids. Like, stop, man.
I got 3, Sean. What's your excuse?
Exactly.
No, Breath of the Wild was a great game. The issue for me was the timing of it, and Donnie wanted to do like a review cast, all this kind of stuff. So I actually had to rush through that game, and I didn't get to explore probably as much as I would have if I just was left to my own accord. So I was doing that, and I actually did the review cast with the Nintendo Nostalgia guys. They invited me on for that one, so I did that one. So I played that game a lot, but a lot of it was because I had to cram it and get it in. So I didn't explore. I didn't take my own time with it. I just kind of like rushed to beat it. I think I have like the fastest beating time of the game. I think in PSVG by far. It was something like 30 hours maybe.
Oh my god, dude! 30
Not
hours.
even, like
30 hours. I wasn't even anywhere near beating that game. That's crazy.
I did the bare minimum to get the Master Sword, and like then went right for Ganon. Like that was it. That was my game. So I think we're getting ready. Since we got Devin to buy a Switch, and we kind of making him forced to play certain games. Breath of the Wild was one of those in the bet. So he's going to be playing it for the first time in the next couple months, and I think some of the guys are going to go back and revisit it. So hopefully, if I have time to do it, based on everything else I'm juggling, I'm going to go back and start it over and just be like, all right, now I'm going to experience it at my own pace and see if I like it better. I do absolutely love the game, masterful game.
Yeah.
My favorite Zelda since Ocarina of Time. And that's mostly nostalgic because I can't go back and play Ocarina of Time anymore. The story I thought was great. The environment was great. I just loved what they did with it. But yeah, it was a little rushed for me just because of my personal experience. No fault to the game whatsoever.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. For me, that game was just an instant classic for me. It's still not my favorite of all time, but it almost eclipsed it. It got very close to eclipsing it. It's just when it finally came down to the end, I was just like, it was just a little melodramatic for me. It was just one of these things. It was just like, man, they got right there, and then and I was like, oh man, if they would have just went a little deeper, a little harder at that end, I think it would have been so much better for me. But I don't know. It is what it is. The story though without spoiling anything for anybody who still hasn't played it yet.
Strong Capri.
Yeah, exactly. He left it. It's all right. We're fine. But the thing is like, for me, the story was truly fantastic. You know, like, I loved the story. But if you had a Breath of the Wild 2, what would be some changes that you would like to see made in a Breath of the Wild 2?
The biggest thing for me, and I know a lot of people complain about it, the durability of weapons.
Oh, God.
It just took out a lot of my enjoyment of it, because I was worried about, like, okay, how many swords am I carrying right now? Like, what do I need pieces of to craft this or that, or repair this or that? That, to me, didn't add anything to my game experience, so I think removing it would just take away some stress. That, and then the second thing for me is the memories. I think they should have put either a clearer path to find the memories, so it's easier to identify, because if you didn't get those experiences, you missed a lot of the story that was there.
Yeah,
and I think that affected, I think, a lot of people's review scores for the haters that just came out like, oh, Breath of the Wild isn't that good. I think because they missed a lot of that. So I would say, have the memories there more accessible, make them cutscenes that happen after boss battles or something. As opposed to hunting down this vague place on this giant sprawling map we have to find.
So hard. Well, because they would show you a picture, and it was like, I don't know what the hell that picture is.
Yeah.
Like, I have no clue where that thing is. I mean, maybe if they would have done something that was like giving you clues.
Yep.
Or maybe you had to go, like, as weird as this might sound, like, you want to, like, this is the next memory, and in order to get it, you need to go talk to people to get clues to figure out where it is.
Right.
Like, something to point you in the direction. Yeah, because there was no direction. It was just like, and sometimes you would stumble into it, and it's like, what the hell? What just happened? Like,
yeah,
oh
like,
my God,
why am I just getting this thing pop up? Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, oh, but once I got the first memory, I was like, oh, I need more. Like,
exactly.
I just fell in love with it. So some of them were just but some of them were just really gut-wrenching.
And just think, you could go through that entire game without catching a single one, and how different is that game for you if you never saw any of them?
No doubt. No doubt. Because if the only thing you get is what the king tells you at the beginning, the pop-up of Ganon, and then the final, that game sucks.
Yep.
And the most poignant, the most important one to me is the one you get from Impa. And that's the one that, like, and only way you can get that one is to get the other ones. You have to get every single one of the other ones. And it's like, and here's the thing, if you don't, and that's the thing that just blows me away too, is you get to the castle, the final one is in the castle. If you don't stop and leave and go back to Impa,
yep,
you totally miss, to me, the most important memory of every single one. It's like, why would you do that? Like, that makes no sense to me.
They're hiding the story that was there.
Honestly, to me, what I would have done is, rather than the one at Impa, I would have put it in front of the door to Ganon. Yeah. So that way, at least everybody gets it, and that, because it's such an important moment. You know what I mean? Like, it's such. I'm trying to be very vague with it if I can.
Yeah,
right. But it's to me, it's like such an important moment in Zelda, in her history as a character, as well as like that moment of the game. And it's like to just rob people of that is just blows me away. I don't understand why, as a game director, you would want to do that. Like, I feel like there would have been a better way. Like you said, like maybe after each Divine Beast, you get something. You know what I mean? Or something along that. Like, that would have been. I mean, you kind of got ones for each character, each of the champions.
Right. Each of them, yeah.
But it should have been something as well. Even if they would have set up like little mini boss battles like throughout the fields.
Yeah.
And then maybe after you beat like a certain Lionel, one popped up, or if you did something else, after you took down your first Guardian, one popped up. Because them things, I got news for you. Oh my God, they scared the hell out of me.
Oh yeah. It's half like, that, I don't even have 75% of the game. I was in fear of going anywhere near those things until I realized, like, okay, I can handle this now. But I was terrified.
Oh, I was scared to death. Well, because the one time I tell this story where one day I'm just playing the game just naturally as it came to me, and I'm playing in the field, and I looked up and I was like, oh my God, the castle's right there, and I'm thinking like, it's only like not that far. I can reach it. And I'm like, I'm going to go for it. And I start running. And all of a sudden, I get about not even a quarter of the way. And the music starts, and I'm like, and I'm in the open field. Like, there's no way to hide. No, I'm DOA, nowhere. Man. And all of a sudden, the light starts hitting me in the back of the head, and I'm like, I'm screwed. And I bink, one shot, down, dead. I'm like, well, we're not doing that again. And I was like, we're going the other way. The game reboots up, and I go the total opposite way. The funny thing is when people were complaining about the weapons, I was pretty far along at that point. And I was like, I don't understand why the complaint is. Because at that point, you start to forget because you start to get the better weapons. But, man, I went back and started playing originally. Not originally, but a few weeks ago, I went and started over. And, the weapons breaking are like, holy crap. Like, man, they could have at least... And I think the biggest downfall of that game is when you finally get the Master Sword, they should maybe make you have to level it up once or twice. And once you do that, it should be not breaking or not shutting down.
Not shutting down, yeah.
That was garbage. I'm sitting there and I'm like, I have the Master Sword. This is supposed to be the sword of the game. Why the hell is this thing getting weak? Like,
why do I have to recharge it? Yeah,
it made no sense to me at all. No. At all. But yeah, I think the only other thing I would do too is if you could incorporate a couple of temples in there.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because the shrines were good. Some of them shrines were garbage, though.
Oh, yeah.
You just get in, you walk in, like, okay, here you go. It's like, oh, what was the point of this one? Like,
oh, yeah, thanks for that hard test.
Yeah, like, there was nothing. Like, if that's the point, like, just throw Guardians in every one of them. Do something.
That's true, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do something. Don't just be like, okay, like, make them battles. Make them harder battles. Because that's the one thing that, like, as you start to get better and better, like, once you get into those test of strengths, they really don't become that hard. Yeah, they start to become very easy. So, to me, it's like, what's the most difficult? Put a Guardian in there. Mm-hmm. Maybe even make it like an amped up Guardian that you don't see in the field. Like, maybe it has 2 heads or, whatever it might be. Or throw 2 Guardians. Yeah. They could have easily made... Now, some of those things, like getting to them alone was so hard to get to.
Yeah.
That it was like, okay, thank you for just letting me not have to do anything.
That was the test, was just getting here. Thank you.
Just getting here, yeah. Just getting here was the test. Now that you got here. And there was one that was... The one that used to really throw me off was the Lost Temple, I guess the Lost Temple, where it's kind of underground.
Yeah.
But I was running above ground, and my meter's going off, and I'm like, this thing is driving me crazy. I know it's right here. Where is it? And I'm like, I forget. I give up, and I run the opposite. Like, I start to run away from it, and then I get to the ledge, and I dip down. I look at it, I'm like, oh my god, there's a cave, and I go in the cave. I'm like, there it is. Right here. There it is. It's like, okay, that's that stupid beacon that's been going off for an hour now. Yep. I know where that is. What about Odyssey? What's your beliefs on Odyssey?
So Odyssey was funny. So that came out at a perfect time for me. It was last year. Yeah, last year. And my wife and I were going away on a cruise for a couple days. And it was just the two of us. So, like, first time in, like, 14 years without kids that we went and did something ever for, like, more than a day. So it was some much needed R&R. And I was like, she bought me Odyssey to take with me. I'm like, all right, this is great. I'm like, I would love this because I'm a redhead. I don't go out in the sun. That's a bad deal for me. So, I've been on 2 cruises in my life, and both times I spent all my time on the ship. Like, I didn't even get off the boat.
Oh my god!
Which is fine because when we got to port, it actually was really stormy out, so it worked out fine. So there was a lot of sitting around the ship. I could read and stuff like that, which I did read a little bit. But I beat Odyssey in like 3 days, the entire game. Just tore through it.
It doesn't take much.
No. And
good.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I had fun with it.
Yeah.
But now it wasn't anything that was groundbreaking, not game of the year material. I'm not even gonna pretend it was that.
Yeah.
But it was good. It scratched that itch for that style of Mario game that we hadn't had in a while. Like, because everything was like the new Super Mario, which those are great games too, the 2D ones. Mm-hmm. I just wanted a good 3D one, and this one was fun. I had a lot of fun with it. I think is the best way to describe it. So I didn't hate on it a lot. I think the build up for it has this great end game stuff. that first end game thing, no spoilers again, was fun. And then after that, it was just boss rush modes. I'm like, I don't care to do that. And I didn't do any of that stuff. But I had a blast. That was a lot of fun. It was definitely a good, satisfying Mario experience. I think the issue with Mario now, though, being as iconic as he is you get the people that like those games, which are fine. You get the ones like the 2D, which are fine. There's not really much room for innovation with those anymore. Yeah. Like, everybody wants Mario 64 or everybody wants Super Mario World. So that's all you're going to get, is you can't diverge from that formula that much and still have people on the hook and loving it as a Mario game and not something weird that they try. So I'm okay with it. I think they're fun, but I don't think we're really going to get a Mario game that's going to make us look at it like we look at Breath of the Wild. Yeah. Like, man, this was great. This was different for a Zelda game. I don't think we're going to get Marios that differ that much. Yeah. Unless maybe we see like a Mario RPG, or maybe they make Paper Mario good again. Something like that might get people talking. But I think for now, Mario is just kind of pigeonholed into being a fun experience, but not anything that's lasting in our memories.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it, because I feel the same way. That, like, I don't even know why this thing was in the running for Game of the Year last year. Like, I feel it was a very good Mario game. Yeah, I honestly think 3D World is a better Mario game. I enjoyed that one much more than I did with this one. I would like to see Nintendo, and I've said this before, I would like to see them go back to a 2D Mario. I would love to see them take the clay aesthetics of Kirby, whatever the hell that game was. I forget the name of it. The Kirby
and the
game.
Rainbow Curse.
Yeah, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. Yeah. On the Wii U. I love that art style. I would love to see that go to Mario and just be like, we're going to make a clay Mario and just go. Because I feel like the one thing that killed me with that Kirby game was I wanted to stare. I bought that game just because of what did it for me was I bought it because of the fact, based off the fact of, like, at E3 they were talking about how gorgeous it was. You could see fingerprints of, like, people pushing the clay, and you could. But I had to look at this stupid gamepad that was like 240p, and I'm like, the hell is this, man? Like, I want to look at the TV. I got this 70-inch beautiful HD TV.
Yeah, right.
And I'm looking at this stupid thing. I'm like, I literally played that thing for a couple levels. And I'm like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah, that and the controls didn't connect with me on that game, but the aesthetic was great. Yeah.
The aesthetic was amazing. So I would love them to take the aesthetic and apply that to a Mario game, because I think that would be, because I think that's what Nintendo needs. I think when you think back to all the classic 2D games, it was always, what was groundbreaking as time went on was the aesthetics. They would do these aesthetics that were just crazy things that were just, you know, when you had the original Mario and we thought, like, okay, this is what we're going to get. And then when you get Mario 2, which is my favorite Mario, 2D Mario, what that was like, hey, man, I'm actually seeing Mario as a cartoon character. I'm actually seeing him as what the instruction booklet show him as. Like, this is awesome, you know? And then Mario 3 was really great, and then, man, World was just phenomenal. And then I'm not really a fan of, my lights changed ahead of
I was going to say, I just noticed that.
I have someone follow me. Thank you, Valrella. Thank you for the follow. So the thing is like, when you have, to me, you don't have anything that's, the new ones are cool for the time. It's time to change the aesthetics now. I feel like it's time to ramp it up. I don't like the feel of the characters, though, in the new. They feel a little floaty to me.
Yeah, I agree.
They're not, the jumps aren't as tight. It feels like you could do more when you, like, jump and you take off and it's fast.
Yes.
So it's like, it feels like a little bit of a floaty jump. Even with Mario, it just feels like a little I'm not really a fan of the new, and I don't know why that is. I can't put my finger on what exactly that is. So who knows? You said that you really enjoy Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah.
On the Switch. What did you mess with Fire Emblem Warriors at all, or no?
I did, and that one didn't connect for me the same way. Okay. I think part of Fire Emblem's problem, and I enjoy the Fire Emblem games overall, and I've played almost all of them, I think, at this point. The characters, because they don't always carry over, you don't get that connection. and you don't really even get a chance to care about them either, because you may have the same characters throughout the entire Fire Emblem game, but they don't follow that specific character's story. So you just don't have that connection. Whereas Hyrule Warriors, like every character for the most part, you knew, and you've seen multiple times in some cases, so you had a connection to it. And I think the combat was just a lot tighter in Hyrule Warriors for me. And I mean, I played Hyrule Warriors on the Wii U, I played it on the 3DS, and then I went ahead and played on the Switch again, just because I loved it. And I think the Switch version is the best one. Like, I didn't buy the DLC from the previous ones, so that was my first experience in the DLC was on the Switch one. But yeah, the Fire Emblem one, I rented it. I played it for like 2 weeks, I think, and it was fine. Like, I didn't have a problem with it. It just the story didn't grab me, and the characters don't as much.
I think what I liked about the Fire Emblem one was they actually took moments of like before you battle, and you go like, okay, I'm going to send you up to this area. You're going to start in this territory, and you start, because man, nothing drove me crazier in Hyrule Warriors where like you start the mission off, you're battling, and then like something breaks off up top, and you can't get up there quick enough, and it's like, oh my god, man. But with Fire Emblem Warriors, I felt like when I went in and I lost the first time, I'd be like, okay, I know what's going to happen in the future. I need to prepare for that. And I need to get like a group of people kind of up there fighting. So when I switch, I'm already up there.
That's true. Yeah, and the coordination, and it fits the Fire Emblem aesthetic too, because obviously you do that before every game in Fire Emblem, so that makes sense. Yeah,
absolutely. But now, see, I played Hyrule Warriors on the Wii U. Didn't play it on the 3DS. I skipped it on the 3DS. But I like the idea of bringing in those, like, merging. Because basically what they did, if I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't even played through the whole one on the Switch. I played a good portion of it, but I stopped. I need to go back and finish. So they basically, what they did was they took what already existed on the Wii U, and then they implemented some DLC stuff and interwove the stories to introduce newer characters into the game. And then now the Switch version is basically that version, just
all together up front.
Yeah, all together. Better graphics than on the 3DS.
And it ran much better. It was a lot smoother, no lag. I argue that the 3DS version ran better than the Wii U one anyway.
Really?
If you had the new 3DS, it seemed to run better for me, because I had some lag on my Wii U one, which is kind of like, I didn't beat the whole thing on Wii U, but I beat the whole thing on 3DS. But yeah, the DLC interwove it and basically did the different timelines that we have in Zelda anyway, the convoluted Zelda timelines. They basically ran with that in Hyrule Warriors. They say, okay, here's what happens on the bad side, here's what happens on the good side, here's the Wind Waker timeline. Like, it follows everything. You have these distinct stories all going on at once. It's very cool.
It's amazing. It's amazing how they did that. And I think that's the thing that got me excited, was when they were taking all these timelines and kind of interweaving them and going like, oh my god, this is awesome.
It's just crazy to jump in one battle and have like Link and then Midna and then like Toon Link all in the same one, and you're like, Link is here in 3 different forms. This is amazing. Like
this is nuts. This is like, what is happening right now? With the DLC, did you get the maps? Did you get into any of those things when you played?
I've done 3 or 4 of them now. They take forever if you've never jumped into those things. So that's why, like, Hyrule Warriors, there's so much meat on that bone for what you pay for.
There is.
By far. But yeah, I've dove back and forth between a few of them, because the issue you run into a little bit is you need to level up certain characters for certain challenges in those maps. So you might have to jump to a different map, do some of that, and then go back to the one you were working on in order to complete it. So it definitely keeps you running. I've done the Wind Waker one. I've done the classic one that comes up, and I forget what the other one was. I've done 3 of them that I've completed all the way. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's just so much to think about. And they're like, hey, do this challenge with only Ganon and no magic in like 3 minutes. So it's like they just really start throwing some crazy ones at you for things, little rewards. You get different weapons that you didn't get in the main story game at all. You get different costumes for people you didn't get in the main game at all. So it just keeps you coming back to get that one more thing, get one more thing, get one more thing.
Ganon to me is the greatest thing ever in that game.
Like, he's fantastic at that game.
Dude, you're running through and you're just wrecking. And it's like, you just feel so powerful. His moves just make it feel like you're just OP. Like, as much as, like, playing that game and you're, like, throwing people all over the place, and you think, like, you can't feel any more godlike. You strap on the Ganon outfit, and it's like, okay, we got this thing, and it is fantastic. so cool.
Which is funny, because all the other villains almost seem to be underpowered because of how he is. Like you play as, anybody else that comes up there and you're like, they're okay, but like Ganon just wrecks house every time.
It's unbelievable. Kevin, this has been a blast. I really enjoyed this. This was fun.
See, I know Nintendo. I don't hate it all.
You know what? You changed my mind, man. I'm like this. I love Kevin now. This is amazing. Why are you not on Nintendo Shack? Let's kick.
Time constraints, really.
No, we don't need it. I don't need to hear that. We'll get Lacey out. We'll get Donnie out. You run it. You and Kara run it. It'd be awesome.
Well, the real reason, if you want to boil it down to, is that if you think about the original Nintendo Shack episodes we used to have before we had the 12 million shows we have, it was Donnie, myself, and Jason.
Oh.
It's Carol that came in and broke up the party. She's the Yoko Ono.
Don't say that.
I'm just kidding. I mean, I do Arcadia Academia with Carol anyway, so there's all love there. But it's just, I don't want to be on 3-4 shows a week, so I limited myself and just gave everybody a voice. So it was a team move.
I'm teasing anyway. So no, but you definitely opened my eyes, Kevin.
There you go.
I like this. Again, real quick before we wrap up, let everybody know where they can find you at and all that good stuff.
So you can find me on Twitter at PSVG Kevin. You can play some video games if you're not already at PSVG. You can find our shows in literally every single service: Google, Apple, Spotify, the whole nine. Just search for PSVG, you'll find it. But yeah, psvg.blog. Come check us out there and give us a listen and let me know what you guys think.
Awesome. You can follow me over on Twitter at Nintendo Gurus. Check us out over on nintendoguru.com to see all the podcast stuff, what's happening over there. We are working on trying to get a giveaway going here on Twitch. Once I hit 300 subs, we're going to give away a 50, not subs, followers. So my God, 300 subs, I'd be like mind-numbing. If once we hit 300 followers, I will be giving away a $50 eShop card to one of my followers. So you want to get in on that, now's the time. Get over to Twitch, check it out. That is all. Peace out, Preston.